Hey there, I'm Dave, co-founder and head of product at Verb Data. We're really excited to give you a demo of our new Data Access API feature, which allows our customers to provide their end users and their customers a REST API endpoint to pull their data as they want into things like their BI tools, CRM tools, and just combine their data with other platform data. So what we're looking at here is an environment overview. And you've got three core components. You've got your data sources, which is how we connect to your databases. Then you've got your models, which is where you connect disparate data and transform data if needed. And you've got your collections, which are your data outputs. And that's, selecting the data for API accessibility or setting up a visual dashboard if that's what you want to do as well. So we have tutorials, videos on building out all of these sections. So I'll stay high level with this, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or look at our documentation. So to connect your data, you're going to create a read-only access user for us, and then you're going to set up the sync methodology. So you're going to tell us what data you want us to sync, so from the table level, even at the column level, and then how we're going to sync that, so incrementally, at a full basis as well, and then how frequent we do that. You can also set this at the column level, so what columns you want to include or exclude as part of the sync. And at the row level, you can start writing where clauses to filter out any data. So some of our e-commerce customers will fill out invalid orders so that nobody gets data around invalid orders and report on fake information. So once you've got your data sources set up, the sync was running, you'll create your model next. And like I said, this is where you connect disparate data and do any transformations to set up an ELT pipeline if you need. So first, you'll connect your data. So if you have structured data, we will inherit the relationships across the data source. So if organization is already connected to event in your database with foreign keys, we will inherit that relationship. If you are connecting across structured and unstructured data, we'll make that super easy for you to do via drag and drop. So you'll connect event status to event. This may be in Mongo, this may be in MySQL, that kind of thing. So once you have that set up, you'll go in and you actually define the data that you want in your API collection. So over here is the visual representation of what is available at the endpoint for your customers. So you'll be able to set up filters. So here we have a date filter, but you can set up filters on any field in the model. And your customers will be able to then select the data using that criteria, that filter. On the fields, you'll be able to continually select or add new fields and remove fields, sort fields, however you want to adjust this. Whatever, you just select whatever field you want out of your model, and you'll add it, and it will add to this table of data, essentially. You also have the ability to configure this data. So if you want it to come as a currency versus a number, you have the control there. You can also control the aggregation of that information. And then you can control the display name as well. So obviously, sometimes the name and culture in your database is just ID, but that doesn't mean much to your customer. So you want to just say it's ticket quantity, and that's counting the number of ticket IDs on an order. And you can even count distinct if you need. So now that you have all the data set up for your customers, now we want to set up the authentication for those users. So first, we're going to tell the system what parameters need to be on a data access key to access this data. So we're going to set up the properties. So here we have user ID, organizations, and roles. And so this is the fields that you can add to a data access key that will then be used in your row-level security rules to filter out and segment the data. So now that we've got this set up, we'll go to our row-level security. And what's really cool about Verb is you don't have to set up row-level security on every single table. You only need to set it up where it needs to live, and we will traverse the paths that you've created, these relationship paths, to make sure that those rules are part of every single collection that you provide your customers. So if you are reporting on page views, we will traverse the path to organization if row-level security is living on organization. So here's a very simple example. You've got, when the org ID from the key equals the org ID in the organization column, then they can see that row. So you can continue to add more complex Boolean logic, but we'll keep it pretty simple here. And then once you're done with that, you're ready to share this information. So you can go to your data access API key section here, and you'll create a new key. So let's just create a new key, demo. I'm going to just label this 154. I don't need a user ID. I don't need a role, but you may use this for visual collections that you use down the road, but we won't worry about that too much. And then you'll add, what access I have. So I'm going to give myself access to that one API collection, but if I had a second or a third, I could add access there. And then I'm going to invite myself. And send it. Okay. So the email was sent to the customer and it came through, and the link is available for 48 hours just for security purposes, and you'll be able to access your key and the documentation for this API. So my API key is here. You'll be able to version this. So as your schema changes or you need to make adjustments, you'll be able to version this API, and customers will then have access to the new versions. And then you have your general request objects and response objects here. So this is just an example of how that comes through. And it's pretty simple to get this set up. I mean, this is a quick demo for you, but you can see how easy this is to set up and how convenient this would be for your customers. So if you have any questions, email me at dave@verbdata.com, and happy to have a conversation.